Hey everyone, welcome to the CSbois Podcast. I am doing this podcast from California right now, where I used to live. I'm currently in my parents' home.
Welcome back.
And welcome back. Yes. And today we're going to be talking about just like what post grad is life, what post grad life is like.
Yeah, pretty much
Uh,
like what
yeah,
happened, after your graduations, after you throw that flowers up in the skies. Now what? What happened?
throwing up flowers or your hats in
Or your
graduation, right?
hats, your gown, well,
Yeah,
not your caps, not your gowns.
yeah, your caps. There you go.
I
Yeah.
remember though. I remember the day I graduated. We were at the walk, or whatever,
I
and
actually I don't think I visited you during graduation, did I?
I don't
I
remember. I
think
don't think so, cause my family was here. But anyway, I was saying. Yeah, I remember like talking, just your friend. You usually you can gather with your friends when you're walking, and like, oh, what you guys found any jobs? What are you what are you guys studying right now? What's your plan, right? And a lot of people will. There's some that will go to, get a master's degree, right? They got that lined up. Some get a PhD. Some already have a job lined up. Go back to wherever they interned. And there are some that have nothing.
yep, like
So
me,
yeah.
like us. Really.
So if you're one of those that already have a plan, right? That already have those things sorted out, good for you. Good on you. You're gonna offer good on you. But those of you that didn't have that, we're gonna pretty much go through what happened to us, and maybe it can help you out.
Yep. So for me, I think during graduation, not a lot of people were talking about um, what their plan was after college. I think everybody was just like distracted with like congratulating each other. But I think for me, it was in the back of my mind that you know, I just graduated and in 6 months' time I'll have to start paying off my student loans and I don't have anything lined up after college. So it kind of freaked me out. But some people are like, oh, it's not a big deal if you don't get a job after graduating right away. But for for me, I was kind of ashamed of not having a job after college. So I started applying as fast as I can, basically, and just like everyday leak code nonstop. Trying to read like motivational crap on Reddit or something just to drive myself to keep applying and not get discouraged after like every rejection letter or every rejection phone call I get. So
So you wanna
it's
you wanna walk through, sort of the timeline of, what's yours is like, till you first got your first job. Because mine is
yeah.
more complicated.
Yeah, I remember that. Um, yeah, so I guess I'm actually going to start before I graduated. Before I graduated college, we had like a capstone project, or maybe for some of you, like in place of a like a thesis statement that you have to do at the end of college. I think that's what a lot of engineers
Final
do
year
or science.
projects.
Yeah, it's basically a final year project. It happened like throughout the year, basically, and I got the opportunity to work with a company that is in the healthcare business or the healthcare industry. And they were located in Seattle. And I thought that, oh, maybe if I work for them and I do a good job, I would get, a job offer after I graduate. I actually talked to the data scientists that I work with. So I was in kind of like a data engineering team. I talked to them, hey, if it's cool, like would would I be able to get an interview at this company and maybe like get a job with you guys after I graduate? Um, and the data scientists that I work with were actually planning to give me an interview, um, because they noticed that I was up until like 4 a.m. working on a piece of feature that I was supposed to work on, and they like took notice of that. They thought I was doing a good job, and but at the end of that, I did get an interview, and like even the CEO of that company was an alum of UC Santa Cruz, which is where I graduated from, and he spoke at the graduation ceremony, and we gave him like a presentation of what our project was about at the end of the year. Um, so I got an interview from them, but I actually ended up not getting the job offer because I had one technical phone interview with them. I think I struggled a bit. Maybe that's why I didn't get hired, or maybe they were looking for some other talent. Who knows? But yeah, after that, I was pretty discouraged, and just started applying again.
I mean, to be fair,
Uh,
your team, right, from that there's like 5 people from that project, that your final year projects, and none of them got the job, right?
yeah, yeah. I think me and Egan. I think I mentioned this before. Me and Egan, or Egan and I, we worked in the same team for that company, and we actually asked the data scientists for an interview together. Um, I'm not sure. I think Egan wasn't able to get one because of his like residency status. So he's a international student, and I think they didn't do visas. Um, yeah, so I think I was the only one that managed to get it from asking, and yeah, I still didn't get it. Um, and then I think probably after graduation, I don't even think I gave myself like a week to just like celebrate graduating. I graduated, had dinner with my family because it was on the same birthday as my birth, in the same day as my birthday. And then I think the next day I just started like sending out tons of applications, doing leak code, studying data structures. Um, yeah, I all in all, I actually just counted recently. I got 7 on-sites out of maybe 250 like applications that I tracked. And I wasn't tracking my applications the entire time. So I would estimate it was maybe closer to 300 or 400, who knows. But out of those, 2 to 300 applications, I maybe got somewhere under 100 um like technical uh phone interviews, or just like coding challenges. And then after that, probably seven. I counted 7 on-sites, two of which were online. And then I got 2 offers from that entire, you know, 3 months of interviewing and applying. So
And those are not just local, right? Those are there, some of them include like out of state as well.
yeah. So the 2 offers I got was the current job that I'm doing right now. Um, Apparently my company's cool, or they actually promote us to say where I work, uh like on social media if I ever mention them. So I work at a company called Integral Ad Science, or IAS. Um and I got a job as a data engineer in their Chicago office. They're headquartered in New York, but they were expanding to Chicago early last year, 2019.
Well,
And then the pandemic hit.
let me ask you this: does your job somewhat related to your capstone, or does your capstone like help you in getting, your particular job right now, do you think?
um my capstone project, we wrote a lot of Spark code in Python. At my current job, I'm not writing any Spark code right now. But I think in terms of using, because I'm a data engineer, and we work with a lot of data sets, and one of the useful libraries that Python has is a library called Pandas, which is sort of like like a data frame library where you can um, basically describe like CSV or TSV files as like a data frame object in Python, and you can play around with whatever you want. So that was helpful. So I think that was one of the things that probably made me into a good candidate for the job, is because I had like a data engineering experience. So I think it was pretty helpful. And in general, during my interviewing process, I got a few interviews for data engineering positions too, which I think not a lot of new grads probably get interviews for.
Yeah.
Should I mention my other offer? the
If you don't mind, I think I might go over mine as well. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so my other offer was actually from Amazon. Um I actually got the offer after I started working as a data engineer in Chicago. Um I had one of those weirdly short interviews from Amazon, where it was one leak code challenge. I don't know. I think I might have been like at the top of my game, or maybe I just got easy problems, but I finished with like 15 minutes left on the clock on the leak code problems that they sent me. And then it was an online assessment, basically like given the situation A and B, what's your response, like C or D, basically. That's sort of like work culture questioning. And then I managed to land another 30-minute interview, which was really short, in place of a like on-site. And then yeah, I got the job offer. Um, Whether or not I accepted or declined it, maybe we'll talk about that in a future episode.
All right, all
Pretty
right.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yep.
leave that for now. Anything else? Anything else you want to share in the journey of, becoming or finding your first job?
Yeah. Not to flex, but I actually got an interview at Google. It wasn't an on-site, but I already started working at my current job, and I was kind of interested in it. So I think I was in like the phase 2 of the interview process, where I also did well on the online coding challenge. And then I was supposed to have like a technical phone interview. But I decided to cancel it, maybe because I was just like super relaxed after I got my first job, so I didn't want to do it again. But thinking back, I feel like I should have kept interviewing at Google. Who knows? I might have gotten in and be back in the
I
Bay.
mean, once you get to know, a recruiter there, you can contact them back and, you know,
Yeah, I actually do that from time to time, but they're like, oh yeah, they're like, oh, I don't work with that team. Maybe you should go apply with the online
really?
application. But
They
yeah,
ghost you like that? Hmm.
I don't know. Well, I'll try. Who knows? We'll get into Google someday.
All right, I guess it's my turn.
Yep, your turn.
Mine is super complicated, right? Let's start from kind of the graduation period, right? Pretty much your class is done, you're graduating. I applied a lot of jobs, so I'll get the stat out of the way first. And this is spanning across. So I did an IT job in the middle, but this is spanning from graduation to my software job. So I applied about 200 places.
Mhm.
About 150 is ghosted. So just applied and no response. 40 is rejected. So there's actually, they actually probably looked at my resume. I got 9 phone interview, 5 on-site, 3 offers. And so there's the stat, right? It's not a lot. But going back to the history, so during the graduation period, I applied a lot. I pretty much got nothing, right? There's no phone call. People are not interested in me. I'm pretty worried because, I need to pay my rent and everything. And I actually have one of my tutor. I was talking to him, and he said there's a job, and he'll hook me up. It's an IT job, but IT pays the bill. It's actually the company is called KLA. It's in the Bay Area, and I took it. The interview is pretty simple. The people there working there is actually not too technical. Um, and what people think about IT is, that they pick up their phone, how can I help you, blah blah blah. I'm one level up, right? I'm actually the one that probably goes solve them. So in short, what I do is I provision their laptop, right? Imagine your new hire, who take care of that laptop for you. I take care of that laptop for you. Basically installing Windows. If your battery or there's something wrong with your computer, we take care of that, right? You buy a new one, we take care of that.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and it was a contractor position. It actually pays pretty decently for what I do.
Mm. How much
Um,
were you making? If you want to talk about that.
Around 70K,
70K. Okay.
but that was a contractor. Um, yeah, because I was like expecting minimum pay, right?
Yeah.
Or a little bit better than minimum pay, but it's not. It's actually more than minimum pay.
Yeah.
So I did that for half a year. Keep in mind, my manager is really supportive. He pretty much don't expect me to stay long. So I keep applying. Same thing, no reply. Right? I think I got
Hmm.
like one real somewhat serious interview. That was with a company that was working with Apple. So kind of like a contractor company for Apple. Um, Doing some sort of somewhat technical things, but not actually coding. And
Hmm.
I didn't even get the job, right? I think one of the interview problem is like, oh, how do you estimate or how do you calculate the people in the air? How many people are in the air right now? And these are like kind of like a Google kind of questions. Basically, you see what your thought process are, right? How do you actually tackle a problem instead of actually coming up with a solution? They just want to see how you think.
Hmm.
Anyway, that didn't go through. So what happened was someone told me about this boot camp. The program is called Inside Data Science, and then under Inside Data Science, there's data engineer program, there's DevOps program, there's a data science program. Right now, I think they have a decentralized consensus program. I'm not gonna speak too much about it. I don't know whether he likes and they like it or not. This is probably even a free advertisement for them. Uh, so what happened is someone told me about it actually at KLA, um,
Hmm.
and I take a look. Uh, Back then, I pretty much don't have a directions, right? I basically have what C++ plus plus and a little bit of Python on my resume.
Hmm.
And the problem with my resume is, or with me is, I need a path, right? You want to be full stack engineer, you probably want to put JavaScript. You want to be a data engineer, you probably put some sort of Spark or those kind of things related on your resume. Mine,
Hmm.
mine sucked. Yeah, mine suck, literally. I
Yeah.
don't have directions. I don't know what I want to do. Hence, I'm not getting no calls.
Right. I
And
think I think the problem out there with a lot of people is that um they kind of just go through school taking classes of, random things, but nobody teaches you that you have to tailor your resume to a job, even though it's like kind of painfully obvious from our point of view. But it's like when you were in school, you kind of just like you're taking, you know, intro to programming, advanced programming, and the next. But like nobody really tells you that, oh, you have to, put projects on your resume so that you get, you know, job roles A or B. Um, so I think for a lot of students out there right now that are still in school, like even if you have a year left, I think a good thing to do would be sort of tailor your resume to whatever position you want to get. But then again, not a lot of people know that at this point.
Yeah, maybe a future podcast we can talk about what sort of track, right, you can go down.
Yeah, yeah, that'd
But
be helpful.
yeah, so I was saying mine suck, right? There's no direction, there's no track, right? A data
Hmm.
engineer position is gonna look at their resume, is like, what the heck? This guy clearly is a full stack, and then a full stack will go look at it saying, oh, this guy is clearly an IT guy, or or even a modeling guy, because I did a little bit of CAD modeling,
Hmm.
not actual posing, right? Not that kind of model, but computer aided design. So the program. So I applied their data engineer and DevOps program, uh, and what ended up happening is their DE program rejected me, and I was in a DevOps program.
Hmm.
And without going into too much detail, they pretty much teaches you how to write resume. You build a project, and then you're out in the wild. Um, Interviewing pretty much, and they'll hook you up with companies, and they make some money if you get hired from one of the companies that they introduce to you.
But you don't have to. If you don't get a job through their network, you don't owe them anything, right?
Correct. That went on. That's only a That's only not even 3 months. I think it's 1.5 month program. And I built a project, um, and then there are some interviews. None of them worked out through them, and then I'm on my own again.
Hmm.
So that was almost. So after I quit KLA to join this program, it took me another
6 months,
six
maybe.
months,
Yeah.
yeah, to find my first job. So during that 6 months, I have interviewed at. Some of the notable mention is I've interviewed at Amazon actually. There is a cloud support associate position that is in Seattle, which I did pass, and I loved the interview. It's not too technical. It's actually, I believe, a very good starting point for any recent grad out there. But I did not take that offer. It was not 6 figures, and it was
Yeah,
not
no.
a engineering role, right? You don't write code. You're
Yeah, I
support.
remember. I remember one of your like filters for if you want a job or not is if it doesn't pay 6 figures, you don't want it.
Honestly, I would have taken that, right out of college, but not 1 year in, right? Not
Yeah,
one
yeah,
year
that makes
in of
sense.
my
Yeah.
graduations.
Was it more or less pay than your IT job?
It's more.
More, okay.
Yeah, it's more. And then obviously there are stocks, right?
Yeah.
IT is a contractor. Even though the company is public, um, I was a contractor at KLA, so no stocks, no nothing. So there's one, and I get to fly to Seattle, so that was nice. And another one is actually a company in San Francisco, a nonprofit, and that one is also not 6 figures, so I did not take it.
It was close to 6 figures, right? Wasn't it?
It was close, yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't take it. And it comes the third offer, which is a place I'm at right now. Probably am not gonna mention name, but I did not apply. I did not apply through online.
Hmm.
I actually went to a job fair, a UC job fair, and that job fair does not have too many engineer position, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
different, all different kind of company. But I actually found a infrastructure engineer position and talk to I actually see the hiring manager at the time and talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, at that time, I already have like a few talking points in my resume, like how I fit the role essentially. And from that, I get an interview, which is not too terribly hard, and I got the job.
Mm.
Just for
This is
context,
your
what
this is your
is
current job, right?
yes, that's my current
Okay.
job.
Yeah.
Just for context, what is DevOps was infrastructure engineer. You probably barely touch that in school. Usually involves with Docker, just to name a few technology out there, Docker, Ansible, which is a configuration management tool. Docker is
Mm-hmm.
a containerization technology. Um, Kubernetes is a container orchestration tool. There are other configuration management tools such as Chef, Puppet. Um, Golang is hot right now in this realm, so there's that too.
Mm.
And you deal with a lot of Linux kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So infrastructure and DevOps have a lot of overlapping technology, but what they fundamentally do is a little different. Anyway, I'm not going to go into too deep into this, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
So should we reveal how much we're making right now?
I don't
Are
want
you
to
open about?
reveal it, but
Okay. I'm pretty open about like my salary, really. Is there like a backlash for me revealing my salary online to like, maybe 1,000 people
if
based on
you're
how many views we
gonna
get?
quit very soon, maybe by the time this podcast comes out, you already quit, then that's probably
Uh,
fine.
that's true. Okay. Why is revealing your salary such a bad thing? I don't see it as a problem, really.
It's probably embargoed somewhere in your contract.
Uh, okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll mention how much we make. But Edward makes over six figures, or he makes six figures. So,
Yeah,
above
not
100.
7, unfortunately.
Not seven. Yeah, but I actually make five figures. Which kind of sucks from, a lot of people's standards in the Bay Area. But I also live in a lower cost of living area, or Chicago. So, you know, some people say, oh, it's equivalent to, the six-figure number in the Bay Area. But, you know, if I had six figures, that'd be nice. Yeah. But I kind of want to talk about how you deal with failure or like rejections with job hunting in general. So when I failed my first probably like on-site interview, I felt terrible. Like I probably didn't get over it until like after 3 days. Like during that 3 days, I was just like, I'm not gonna get a job. I was so discouraged. I didn't work on anything to like improve my candidacy in the future interviews. I was kind of just like super upset about it for like 3 days straight. And then I think the more you fail these kinds of interviews, like the better you kind of get used to digesting it. I think the next, like, after getting rejected after every onsite, it's always going to like discourage you to a degree, no matter how many times you fail it, because you have that feeling of crap, I have to sort of start over the process again from online or coding challenge, technical phone, and then on site, and I have to like or something nice, commute to the workplace, go through that painful 3 hours of being interrogated, basically, or not interrogated, maybe just like question.
Yeah, my
But
key
yeah,
my key to this is you just gotta. I always tell myself this. It's just part of the flow. It's just part of a process.
yeah,
That's just that's just gonna be what's gonna happen, right?
hmm
You
yeah,
will eventually get it
yeah,
and try to
and
enjoy it.
yeah, something that I personally hate, or not hate, I personally like find kind of unproductive is that um some people out there, they want to practice lead code and then apply for jobs. I think that's one of the worst ways that you can, get your interview ball rolling, is because there's no better way to practice interviews than real actual interviews. Um a lot of people think that they're going to be wasting their opportunity by failing an interview that they get early on without much practice. But if you think about it, um, the sooner you have an interview, the harder you're going to practice, the harder you're going to prepare. So I think it's not. I don't think it's a good idea to kind of study first and then apply. I think you should be doing both concurrently. That's my opinion. What do you think?
I will say I did practice leak code. I think I finished about 100 of them, which is not that many.
I think I did
Is it
like
100?
50 to 60.
No, 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 not 100. Yeah, I think it was like 50, 60s. Um,
Yeah.
I think it somewhat depends on what kind of track you're going down to, what kind of
Mm-hmm.
roles you're looking for. For me, leak code is not really about learning the algorithm, but it's actually to familiarize myself with the language. As
And
much as that
also,
sounds, very strange, again, my job right now uses Python, and I did not touch
yeah,
Python
that's true. Yeah.
in my projects. But I uses Python in leak code, and that got me very familiar with Python.
Mm-hmm. What I would say is another thing that lead code, or just like, I think we use the term lead code pretty loosely here. Lead code as in like you know, interview questions. The type of questions that you'll find in Cracking the Coding Interview book, which by the way is basically like the Bible of interviews these days. I don't know if it's the same, but if it's still considered the same thing right now, but I would say that it is. Um, One of the points of leak code is that it sort of familiarizes yourself with a lot of the common questions that you get asked in a lot of interviews. So be it like graph problems, you can find thousands of these kinds of videos on YouTube saying that a lot of interviewers get the problems from like similar sources, and they just kind of reword the questions, and when they ask you it, you kind of recognize that, oh, you need to approach this problem a certain way. So say that an interviewer gives you like a tree problem, then you know that most of the time you're going to want to solve it with recursion, kind of thing. Yeah, so
I
that's
actually
what
don't
that's what LeetCode is helpful for.
I don't see that many technical algorithm problem. I see more
Mm.
system design problem.
Oh yeah,
Right.
that's not the case for me. I get a lot of coding and algorithm questions.
Because
Yeah,
probably what your job requires some code that runs very efficiently. But for me,
yeah.
is to design it, make a system that is efficient, not just the code, not the code really, because I would say we deal with system and code 50-50, the
hmm
time split.
Yeah. Well,
I would,
did you
at the
apply to did you apply mostly to like DevOps positions?
yes,
Okay,
DevOps,
yeah, that
yeah,
might be why.
yeah, DevOps, infrastructure, build and release.
Yeah.
But even at my AWS one, they ask basically how would you deploy an application that is scalable, right? And at that time, I just finished the certificate for, what is it, the architecture architecture associate certified. Anyway,
Uh, is it cloud practitioner?
no, not that one. I did that one already, but there is a
Oh, I think
harder
you got
one.
the. I think you got the solutions, like associate
Yeah.
solutions.
Solution architect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically you get exposed to a bunch of what AWS offers essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have a load balancer. They have their regular EC2, and I just tell them your easiest probably is throw a load balancer in front of EC2, make your applications uh, not dependent, right? Have a decentralized storage so your application can scale with the loads.
Mm-hmm.
Simple things like that, goes a long way.
Mm. Yeah, I never got questions about that before. Maybe it's because I mostly applied to data engineering and software
Did you
engineering
get
roles.
any query questions?
I got a lot of SQL questions and also like database design, which I was not prepared for most of the time.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
depending on what track you're going down,
Mm-hmm.
focus on that. It's probably
Yeah.
have more value than just practicing algorithm, you know.
Mm-hmm. And also, well, one good thing to take note of every time like you fail an interview, first of all, ask for feedback. But sometimes companies don't give you feedback or they're not allowed to for some reason. Like I read a lot that everywhere people say that you know, when you fail an interview, you should ask for feedback. But a lot of them told me that, oh, I can't reveal the information for some reason. But if you don't have that, um, just think back to your on-site and think about what you struggled with. Typically, the problems that you struggled with in that interview is probably what you're weakest at, and what probably sort of um, was kind of the deciding factor in whether or not you would get the job. So typically for me, after every time I fail an interview, I would remember it, do it at home, and in case I get asked it again in a future interview, like just be prepared for it, basically.
I'll give one last tip. This sort of stemmed from a question that I got asked, right? Um, I remember one of the interview, they ask, um, first of all, you need to answer the question, why do you want to become XYZ, right? Why do you want to become a software engineer? Why do you want to become
Hmm.
a DevOps engineer? You need to come up with that reason. You need
Hmm.
to, I don't care if it is fake, right? If it is fake, fake it till you make it. But you need to answer the questions. I got asked that once, and I literally like spaced out, blanked out, right? I don't know how to respond, and it looks
Hmm.
really bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of these like common, like, was it behavioral questions? You should think about some common ones and then prepare a few answers for them, like like that.
I actually do prepare, right? I actually have a notebook that wrote down like
Same.
stuff like that, just in case
Yeah.
I forget it. And by the way,
Hmm.
those metrics, those on-site that I said, those 5 on-site, those 9 phone interviews, just because you get on-site, it doesn't means it's at the last stage. A lot of so what I mean by that is actually a few of my on-site they actually just skip the phone interview. There's not the phone interview is not even technical. They pretty much just verify that you're an actual human, and then you get
Hmm.
the on-site.
Yeah. A lot of companies kind of do their interview phases differently. Um, some might have like two or three even, like technical phone interviews, and then like an on-site. Some might not even have an on-site. Yeah, so don't count on like the typical pattern of coding challenge, technical phone, on-site. Sometimes there's always like sometimes it's not like that. Yeah. But it's good to expect that there's going to be at least three, I would say, at least three rounds of interview.
Or at least there will be for the on-site there will be multiple rounds as well. I've seen
Yeah,
I've seen on-sites that are just, one round. Literally
yeah,
just one guy. And
I have it. Yeah.
those are usually not very legit.
Hmm.
They're not too serious about it. They probably is not very legit.
Yeah.
But still go
Um,
to those anyway, just to get the experience, just to, get make yourself become less nervous next time you're on an interview.
yeah,
It
I
takes
think I think
practice.
like yeah, like accumulating experience in interviews, it's helpful. So don't don't think that you're going to go into one interview your entire life and you're going to get a job. It's most likely the case that that's not going to happen. So, you know, something that a lot of people say, and I now like to say, interviewing is a numbers game. Um, the more you do it, the higher your chances of getting a job is, right? Um, and I think like one final thing that I was gonna say is, or that I wanted to say is, um, some people out there often feel like after they fail a few interviews, they often feel that they're not cut out for computer science. That was like one personal thing that I thought about. I'm not cut out for computer science. Like I didn't have a background that sort of like would turn me into a good programmer or anything like that. Like my parents works at a grocery stores where some like other people's parents in the Bay Area, they work at Apple or something that have a lot more opportunities with tech background. But that's not always the case, right? I don't consider myself to be a smart person, but I think if you're working hard in school, um, and you take the right classes and you take projects and you're really serious about getting a job, like don't be discouraged by failing a few times. Just like keep going. You're probably gonna get a job. And when you get a job offer and money isn't a problem for you, you don't have to take a job that you don't really want to do or not interested in. So my experience is that Edward's gonna probably laugh at me at this. I got a job offer as like what is it? Like the position online said new grad or something like that at a company called, should I say it? At some company, it's like
Sama.
a consult Sama, yeah, Sama. It's a consulting company in Campbell, I think, near eBay. So, go scout them out. Um,
I
but
have a sort of different opinion, right? Right.
yeah,
Again, I came from IT, right? I literally first job out of school is IT,
right.
and just get your and yours is probably even better because yours is that position is actually engineering.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that if I took it, I wouldn't be on the wrong track either. But what I was just saying is that if money isn't a problem for you and you just graduated like maybe a month, like I got this offer a month after I graduated, and I thought that, oh, I have to take this or I'm not gonna get another chance ever again. Um, but at the time, like money wasn't an issue because I didn't have to start paying my loans until like 6 months after I graduated. I'm still living with my parents at the time, so I was like, maybe I could keep interviewing. And like if you want to do that, like I'd say go for it. You don't have to take a job that you don't want, right? Because at the end of the day, a job is a job. But if you think that it's much smarter to take it, like you're not wrong. But for me, I just decided not to take it because I didn't want to do it. And I thought I could get a better job because, I was worth more in my opinion because their pay wasn't that great, especially in the Bay Area. Um, yeah, I also considered like joining the boot camp that Edward got into. I was like this close to accepting the offer. I got into their data engineering program because of my experience, and then I passed their like sort of like a take home project. But then I decided, or my friend told me, you don't need like you don't need to do a boot camp, like, or like you don't really need to do a certificate because your college degree is your certificate to getting a job. And I think that's true. Of course, I'm not saying that doing them is useless. I think they're helpful, and probably like me taking them right now, like certificates or a boot camp, would probably be like a good thing too.
Well,
But
not a boot camp, but a certificate definitely.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Back in
Well, if
back
it,
the, back
if you want to change your career, maybe a boot camp would help because when you go to a boot camp, you could do some pretty cool
see
projects. What it
the
seems.
the difference between me and you back then is you kind of already down that track. You
Yeah,
kind of you have that capstone at the back.
yeah,
I
that's
don't.
true.
I have nothing. Dude,
Right.
I could be applying to front end jobs too, right?
Hmm.
It wouldn't make me any difference. My resume won't be able to tell any difference with whether I'm more suitable for back end or front end. Literally, my resume is trash. So I have to
Yeah.
pick a track. But you're
Hmm.
already down that, so you probably don't need it as much as I do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I think for a lot of college students that just graduated, they kind of have like a sort of like a randomized looking resume where they just kind of work in different areas. But yeah, I say like if you have a few projects from classes, even just put it on your resume. It'll look good. Um, yeah,
I
just
guess I have a
apply.
couple tips here I want to mention. Back then, when I was still in IT, one of the reasons I don't want to decide a track is because, well, I don't know whether something is good, right? If I
Hmm.
decide I want to become, let's say, back end, right? I have this kind of fear of, oh, what if I don't want to become a back end engineer, right? And then let's say DevOps, right? I want to go down this DevOps, right? Same thing happened. If you're like me, you don't wanna kind of limit your scope when applying, when sending resume out, because you essentially limiting the chance that you'll get a job.
Yeah, that's true.
And tip for you is actually make multiple resume if you have enough experience in that particular track, right? Make one for just back end only. Make it very specific for back end.
Hmm.
Make one for very specific for front end. Make one very specific for full stack. Make one very specific for data science if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That I did not do that, and that is probably again another reason why I suck.
Mm. Yeah, I think one of the things that is commonly true about recruiting is that whenever someone's looking at your resume, the first thing that they're going to look at is probably like the upper middle area of your resume, which is probably going to be like your first experience or your first project. Um, I say whatever you want to be seen or whatever you want to be seen the most, put it up there. I think that's the most useful information
Yeah, let's
in
have
terms
another
of resume.
podcast talking about like resume building, right?
Yeah, sure.
We can probably go through bad example, good example. We can share ours.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, Lastly, I want to say that if you're just graduated, you won't have as much trouble finding a job as opposed to finding an intern. There are actually more uh, full-time position than intern. Number one. And number two is there are less people looking for an internship than actually looking for full-time job because now you're only competing with ones that you're graduated that year versus all the previous years that those people are looking for an intern. So just because you didn't get an intern doesn't mean you will have a hard time finding a full-time job. You should have it, in theory, right? Statistically speaking, you should have an easier time finding a full-time software engineer job.
Mhm.
So that's a good news for you, for everyone out there that's struggling.
Yeah. I for one, and I think Edward too, we didn't graduate with internships. Would an internship have helped? Possibly, but
I
not
think
necessarily.
100% or 99%, right? Depends on what you do, obviously, but
Yeah. I mean, I have friends that graduated with an internship and they got return offers, but I don't think. Oh, I don't know. Maybe statistically it helps, but I don't think necessarily always helps. But who knows? Yeah. But last thing I want to say is unfortunately, yes, you have to lead code every day. You have to dig up your memory about data structures and algorithms. So things like stacks, queues, list. What else? There's more. Hash tables, whatever, right?
linked list.
Data structure. Yeah, graphs, trees, binary trees, algorithms that you thought was like stupid, like binary search, merge sort. Like you should be able to write merge sort with your eyes closed or in your sleep when you're half awake in the morning. You should know those algorithms by heart. Because I got asked merge sort in like 2 interviews and I didn't know how to write them. So I think it's useful to just know your algorithms by heart. Graph traversals, depth first search, breadth first search. I got asked them so many times. I think Amazon likes to ask those questions from what I've experienced. Um, yeah, read CTCI. It's a good book. It also made me
What's
feel a lot better.
CTCI?
Cracking the coding interview. Yeah, try to buy it. The poor author's mad on Reddit that
Dude, you
people
can
are.
probably find a used one for like on Craigslist, dude. No joke.
Yeah,
If you're in
yeah,
California.
yeah. Read it. It helped me feel better when I got rejected from jobs. So it was kind of like a good pep talk for me. So yeah. Reality is it's hard getting a job unless you have a network. But most of you out there looking for jobs right now, I'm assuming that you don't have a good network and you're only getting interviews through like online applications. So yeah, that's all I had to say.
All right, with that, hope everyone that just graduated that haven't found a job, good luck.
Mm.
Hope these helps.
Yeah. Congrats, class of 2020.
Congrats, class of
Uh,
2020.
Stay safe. Do great things out there.
And don't forget to smash the like button. Is that right?
Yeah, smash the like button. Hit the what is it? The bell
The
notification button.
notification bell.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter. We don't have an Instagram, but we have personal Instagrams if you want to follow us.
That's too long. Let's just goodbye. I think we'll cut most of this out anyway.